So hello everybody, welcome to the Now podcast. My name is Tara Hunnewell and I'm here with someone I haven't seen in a little while and I'm so happy you're here. Welcome Andreas Nordin.
Thank you so much, Tara. Privilege.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is Andreas?
Well, I'm 39. I have done a lot of different things in my life, played a lot of roles, I would say. These days I'm a runner. I am a little bit of a nomad, I would say. I try to be a meditator, and I am in digital marketing, in terms of work. I've been traveling quite a lot this year, 6-7 countries, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
For work? Or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I used to be an obstacle course racer.
And you, yeah.
Now I'm just running around in forests and mountains, preferably, yeah.
So when we met you 5 years ago, so much has changed for you.
Yes.
Can you remember the Andreas that walked in the door 5 years ago?
Well, I mean, the reason why I went into the door was because I knew our mutual friend Joel,
Yes.
who was working with Bruce, the app. I was very stressed doing too much things at the time. And I was going to a yoga studio next to you guys, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into Joel. I think he even recommended that place, actually. And Joel, for the people who don't know who he is, he's like a previous kind of bodybuilder, very, very large guy with tribal tattoos.
Another tough Viking.
Yeah. And if I had any thoughts or doubts about yoga being something that a guy...
Manly thing, yeah.
Yeah. He was the right person to smash all of that
smash all those ideas,
let's say.
Yeah.
And he recommended first Yogayama and then you guys at the Now.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think he saw that I was, not being so present, perhaps. I was trying to be an elite obstacle course racer. I was working with young people involved in things they shouldn't be involved in. And then I was also involved working for the union. And trying to have a social life and trying to have a relationship. And it was a few things too many, I believe. So, that's why I felt like maybe it's a good idea.
So you had never meditated before you came here?
A little bit, yes, through some app, but not by myself. Like not to guide myself and just be in silence, no. Just the app short version, let's say. Can
you remember the first experience you had with us here?
Yeah, I remember that you had a very special energy. You guys, the place, and just a feeling of a feeling of calm straight away. Yeah, I mean, I think I started going here regularly straight away.
Yes.
I think it was like maybe once a week initially, and that's at the most I was here 2-3 times a week, I believe.
Yes. I have a memory. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember you sitting here in the back space and you had this just look on your face, this total sense of contentment. And I just said, "How are you, Andreas? How are you feeling?" And you looked at me and you said, "I have discovered a superpower."
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Anything you want to share about that? What was that?
Yeah, well, I think that time was also... That time I had been here a little while.
Yes.
Yeah.
You had. Maybe it was after the course.
Yeah, I believe it was after after the first Be Here Now, right? And and I think at that time I was very much aware, obviously, and being the best self I can be at the moment. But I also had, when I said that, I think you asked the question about what it has given. It was something more to that moment, if I remember correctly. And why I felt like it was such a superpower was because when I started coming here, I'm a Aries, and my manager is also an Aries with a lot of experience managing people in the public sector, probably quite used to having things her way. And then in terms of the hierarchy of the organization, I, as a vice president, and later on I was president, of course, have more say in a way. But then I have to be an employee and be part of a team and accept that, like in that scenario, she should have more say in a way. So there was a lot of battles. But basically, I believe that was about the time when I started to realize how much power, and not power in a positive, constructive way, meditation has given me, because I had so much more distance, from my feelings, time or distance, let's say, to be able to not be as impulsive. And I was so much better equipped at, just kind of recognizing what's going on inside of me and having the choice, do I act on this or not?
Right.
Is this situation to do that or not? And for whatever reason, I guess I knew that the meditation has allowed me to have that awareness when I was in the situation as well. But I think this time that you said that you remember was pretty much the time, the day after or so, that I was here.
Yeah.
And it's helped so much, because this was like the situation where the reason why I didn't act on it, even though I disagreed, was that I looked around and I saw all my teammates, I say teammates like I'm in sports. But I like this analogy from work life to sports, no?
Absolutely.
And the fact that we are kind of a team when we are a work group.
Definitely.
And we were having there was such a good vibe, People were united, and they were like, it was not the place to bring up the fact that I might not fully agree. So even if but yeah.
Keep the peace.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I remember. It was like you said, I just discovered this ability to see what's happening in the moment and just let things be.
Yeah.
And that you're not just in that fight or in that fire of reacting. And
because like I have done a lot of personal, I studied a lot of psychology, organizational psychology, and 5 weeks of those 4 months is also personality psychology. So I've done all of the big 5 tests and the Myers-Briggs and all of that. And so I unfortunately, I know that one of my faucets, I don't remember which overlying group it's connected to, but there is a measure of anger. And I am at 82.
Yes, it's the Aries.
And
Nobody wants to have you on their bad side.
No.
Amazing. So let's go. So you attended our Be Here Now course. That was prior to this experience. Do you remember what that was like for you to start meditating every day for 21 days and get that into your routine? I mean, this is what you're sharing, that some of these benefits, but
it was amazing. I mean, I remember, I don't know if I should mention names here, but me and Björn, I think that was it was the first when we had this exercise. I remember especially when Norvi was guiding us into remembering or picturing the best and the worst day that the person in front of you have had in their life. And of course, I had a little bit of information about the person in front of me, so that probably helps the brain to go to a certain, imagination. But I kind of, that day, I feel like there was something much more like hard to explain that happened, because I really, like, I felt like I was transported in time. Like I felt like I was there in the moment when his daughter was born, and there was this chills, and I believe there was moments where we both were crying, And like to get that connection with someone that you don't actually know is very rare, I think, in our society in general.
A little bit deeper than the personality tests and categorizing.
And also like that should maybe also be mentioned on the other side, like the hardest day, it's like when you are really looking someone in the eyes, and it's kind of like, in a way, I remember that I tried to block that because I don't want to put the pain onto this other person that I don't really know. But then when you stand in that way, there is no, you can't
hide.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that felt like to start to have a daily practice and have that connection with your essential nature?
Yes.
Because you were doing it.
I feel like one of the things that it really brings for me is a feeling of being content with less. This ideas that a perfect day or like a perfect life should contain all these things, like a great social life and staying active, and there's so many ideas on how a happy life is kind of supposed to be. And I feel like when I was doing Be Here Now or during some days of the pandemic, when I really had the practice, I was very actively meditating like twice a day. I would have days when, all I did was hang out with some roommates, because in London you tend to live with a lot of people, at least if you want to live in the center part of city. And anyway, I would go for a run, and not really do all that much. And I was still so content.
You felt full.
With that, So that's really something that I guess it's like gives this a heightened awareness. So you just notice so much more.
So you moved to London. So this was a big thing too. You changed careers completely. And I remember you took the chance for this big program in London.
Yes.
You got accepted.
Yeah.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, very big deal. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say more than, it was just something that I never thought I would have a chance to do, because even my bachelor I studied late, and I wouldn't think that with my academic background is not like A+ student. So, why would I think that I could go to almost Ivy League kind of university?
But you did.
But I did, somehow.
Do you want to share what the program was?
Briefly, it's Hult International Business School is the name. It's a US-UK accredited university, let's say. That's the degree is like US-UK accredited from whatever institutions that approve these. But it has a Swedish touch. So the founder of EF Language Schools is the name behind Hult, Bertil Hult. And it's a very, they're unorthodox, I would say, in terms of how they accept people. They're very keen on having a group that is completely global, which is very evident in the group. We were 73 students, and we were literally from all over the world. We were only 3 from the Nordics, 2 Swedes and a Danish guy. So I feel blessed and kind of privileged to be one of those few. So it's a business education, but I didn't choose it because of that necessarily. More of an idea that I think that they would have like a higher level of leadership and personal development training, really. And
Do you think that this was part of this new process? Do you think by meditating and having some time with yourself, you were able to have a little more courage to take these chances?
I definitely think that the idea of letting go of past life experience and stories really comes as a result, let's say. Yeah, because why not? You know,
so you can start to hear
why not
this.
me? Why not now?
Why am I telling myself that story?
Yeah,
and you got it.
Yeah.
Who do you think would benefit from meditation?
Anyone that has a feeling of stress in their life, or a feeling of not knowing if they are on the right path for them. But really anyone, especially like living in a city. I mean, not to say that someone who doesn't live in countryside wouldn't benefit,
Right.
but for sure, every one of us that lives in a kind of stressful environment in somewhat bigger cities, to live healthier, to relieve anxiety, or I mean, moving our bodies is great tool, but I mean, there's plenty of us who sometimes just run from the one thing to the other,
right?
And sometimes it's the opposite we need. I mean, I feel when I first came here to the now, and coming from being someone who was doing kind of CrossFit and running and obstacle course racing, military fitness,
right.
like the one is kind of more extreme thing after the other. Right. In the early days, I actually mentally had a problem in a way because of my own mindset around it, because I was thinking, every time, even when I came here, to be honest, sometimes I was like, man, now I'm like spending an hour and a half, and I'm not training.
Right.
Or like some days I would, I would just feel so calm. I usually went to get some sushi after.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I thought it would hinder my performance in races. And my experience was totally the opposite. But it was interesting because it was kind of during the autumn, I believe, that I had this period, and over the winter there was no races. So I cut my physical training almost in half, and that was replaced by kind of yoga and meditation here. And then there was this Sidningsloppet to Göteborgsvarvet.
Yes.
That was like the first one, and like...
Right.
And
coming back into it.
Yeah, and it was a personal best, and the results blew my mind in this way, that actually even training so much less, all these other aspects that it gave me, that it actually translated, and it didn't have to.
Right.
I would. That was just like a bonus.
Icing on the. You'd already been convinced.
But that was really the time when I for sure was convinced that there is so much more to this aspect of human performance, I suppose. Yeah.
Amazing. Can we talk a little bit about your running?
Sure.
Because you're just a superstar runner.
Well,
I'm amazed by you. But in my mind, it feels like it's a running career. It's like you have two careers, but what can we call it? It's not a hobby. Tell us about your running. You started.
It's kind of a hobby.
Is it a hobby?
Yeah.
It's a big hobby.
It's like when I was an obstacle course racer, you could say that I was semi-professional, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Because I had some contract and sponsorship, and not exactly an income, but like most things paid, essentially. Mm-hmm. But as a runner, it's something... like I was always probably a better runner than I was dealing with the obstacles in those races. I was probably always more of just good at strength and cardio rather than the technique. So at the end of the day, when the pandemic happened, they closed all the gyms in London, and I just went much more into the running. And then I came back to Sweden. I signed up for actually the race that I found out that was really good at trail running. I thought I would be maybe top 20 at the best. And I finished 4th.
Wow.
And it was sort of a big shock.
This is what I mean with you.
And some person came up to me like, who are you? What was your name again? Like, what club are you running with? And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't have a club. And he was like, well, you should. And then he invited me, to come train with Hälle IF. And since then, I've pretty much been tied to the club, representing that club. Yeah, and it's kind of cool to know that I'm in the same club as Mustafa Mohammed, which is like the best marathoner of all time of Sweden. So he's the guy that everyone wants to, let's say, beat.
How has meditation, or have you had any experiences with running after you started meditating?
Yes. Oh, yes, for sure. I think in running, especially when it comes to races that are anything between 5K up to, I would say, maybe a marathon, you really have to run with like close to the lactate threshold when you're racing. And so for most people, I believe that when you do that and you're not so aware of your body and of your breathing, that really has a tendency to influence where we are in our mental state, because you tend to then just focus on the kind of the pain in the lungs, or or in some part of the body. And so to be able to disrupt that train of thought really, I think, comes from being more aware, from meditating, from having done breath work, and having felt the difference in like what happens if I focus on my breath. And so even like it was one race which was just in the beginning when I was going here, and I had this moment like in 7K in the race or something like that, where I was just it's like for the first time ever really being able to I almost started to think of my body as just this, it's like a machine, like the motor in a car or something.
Right.
And but not being in this train of thought about like this pain, whatever it might be, and just more like recognizing, wait, where's my shoulders? Like, how's my neck? Am I tense, or like, is my posture kind of proud, and like, am I opening up for my lungs to have space to breathe? Like even these words I'm saying now feels like it's kind of your words from a breath work or from meditating, and so that really brings another level.
I love that, like a machine.
Yeah, and override this automatic train of thought that comes if you're not able to make these tiny adjustments. Yeah.
I think you also shared an experience about your connection to the other runners. You felt this oneness.
Oh, yes. That was Berlin Marathon. Yeah, that was also in the early days. Yes, that's I felt that in leading a lot, but just the other weekend now as well. For sure, it's very clear in those races that are a bit longer. That people really start to kind of move almost as it's almost like a unit.
You move it like
with all these parts, which
like the birds.
Different people.
It's like a flock of birds, right? When they do these amazing formations. This one connection. We have some people that say, I don't meditate, I run. I'm a runner, and running is my meditation. Would you say that running is the same as meditation?
No.
What's the difference for you?
I mean, I can understand why someone would say that. There are definitely aspects that can feel similar in terms of what it can give. Because I think it can, in a similar way, kind of peel off layers of our strength, of who we are, who we can be. But no, the meditation brings something to the running when you later on run, because of all these things I just mentioned.
Right.
And running has aspects of being meditative, especially if it's on tracks that are in more in nature, in the forest, especially if you know them, so like you have run them a lot, so your legs or your feet, you kind of almost already know where to put your feet. So then, of course, you're just, if you don't have a podcast or any music or anything, you can definitely be moving your body and still kind of tapping into maybe states of consciousness that are, you could say meditative, but no, it's because it's very hard to find what you find through sitting still in meditation. Like even, I mean, there is so much activity. Like, I mean, even when we just close our eyes, right, something happens which allows us to go into something else. For sure, it can be meditative, but
they're beautiful. They complement each other so well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's really something that
you were going to tell the story about running in, where was it? Fiji?
Tenerife.
Yeah.
I guess, so I was living by the beach, but Tenerife is a volcanic island. It's one of the kind of youngest pieces of land apparently on the whole planet. So it has a huge spiritual community, and people talk about a special energy on these islands. I definitely think there's something to it, but it's who knows. But so I started to work with a coach who was from the Basque region, north of Spain, because I knew that if he's from a similar terrain, similar nature, then he will know what it means to run in those, because it's very, very steep. And anyway, I would run from where I lived up to the observatory, which is like 2,300 meters above sea level. So it takes a while. And
how long does it take?
5 hours to get up, pretty much. Yeah. And so I had several moments up there, like in the mountains, in the forest there, where it's like I forgave myself for a bunch of things. I was screaming at some point. I was crying at another point, and that's like the peeling. No, the peeling of like the onion, like, and that was definitely some moments where the running was also meditative, let's say. But I feel like the same thing happens. We haven't spoken about breath work at all.
No, do you want to say?
I feel like I want to say something about that.
Say something, because I remember your first breathwork experience. Yeah. What do you remember about it? What do you want to share?
Yeah, no, just like this very powerful release of some form of energy, I suppose, in my body, and it was kind of one of those moments where I couldn't hold back, and I was actually crying for probably the first time on like 15 years, if not more.
Yes.
Because that's how like it was in my family. Like I never saw my dad show emotions in that way. And I guess that's where it stems from, in a way, to just not realize that it's actually pretty damn important to allow ourselves to feel and try to figure out what we feel. No? So that was very, very powerful, because I felt the effects after. This is one of those things that I feel like I can't fully put to words and explain. It was felt even more new and different than the meditation itself, I would say. Yeah, but it's great.
Do you remember what it felt like when you cried? Was it sad? Was it emotional? Or was it like can you put words to? Do you remember?
Well, even before, it was also just the physical that came first. I believe, like my body, like was actually
release.
There was this vibration almost, and it's like it was like a release. Just it felt like some kind of healing I suppose. Yeah, it's just I was lighter. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, because we don't give ourselves space in life. We don't give space to digest feelings. We're not taught to investigate feelings and allow them to just process so we can be free. So we carry them. Sometimes our whole lives.
Yeah.
So that's what this practice is so beautiful at helping us quiet the mind, not try to figure anything out, just be with whatever wants to release.
Yeah, and this aspect of body and mind, and you know, like I think humanity for a long time, it was an idea that philosophically, and this influenced all other sciences as well. We thought that it's kind of separate, and now we know better. And we know that it's so much more complex, and it's really, I really think that this that we can store things, you know. And so for some part of life, someone starts to do, maybe, I don't know, if they had some difficult trauma or so, they do boxing or Thai boxing or, you know, something like that, and then that's right at that time. But then there comes maybe another time in life where it's not so much like letting that energy go in this kind of aggressive way, let's say, and there is something else we need, you know. And I really think that meditation is one of these amazing tools to just have a better life,
feel more free.
Yeah.
Amazing. Is there anything else you would like to share? Any last words?
No, I don't think so.
No, you've
This
said
was
it all.
fun.
This was so fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Andreas, for joining us today, for being with us on this journey. And it's just it's so fun to catch up, because we hadn't seen you in a while, and it's so beautiful to know you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.